Final attendance figures are in Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, and the records have fallen in a big way. For the second year in a row, all three leagues, NPB, KBO, and CPBL, are at all-time highs in both average and total attendance. Three countries where baseball was already the biggest sport. Didn't seem like their domestic professional leagues could get any bigger, but they continue to defy expectations. Japan already had the highest average attendance in the world, higher than Major League Baseball, but they were able to eclipse last year's record. In Korea and Taiwan, they smashed the old records, achieving figures that were unimaginable not too long ago. Of course, Major League Baseball had its own success story with attendance and ratings in recent years. I covered that a couple weeks ago. Attendance rose slightly, making it 3 straight years of increased ticket sales, highest it's been in 7 years. But while MLB had one big jump in attendance following the rule changes and schedule changes, followed by a couple more smaller increases, the Asian leagues are seeing some really large increases year after year. Let's take a look at those numbers, figure out why it's happening, and if it can continue in the future. Total attendance for NPB in 2025 was 27,040,286, beating the previous record set last year. Year over year, a gain of 358,571. 858 games played for an average of 31,515 per game. The previous record from 2024 was 31,098. So they gained 417 fans per game on average. They are inching closer to the MLB record for average attendance set back in 2007. That was 32,785 per game. If NPB continues to add to its record by 400 fans per game every year, they could pass MLB for the world average attendance record in just a few years. And remember that all 12 NPB teams play several home games away from home every year, often in stadiums of just 10 to 20,000 capacities. It's great for growing the team's fan base in smaller cities, but it brings down their average attendance. So NPB is already beating MLB in average attendance, and could break MLB's record for average attendance, even while playing so many games in smaller venues every year. Central League, easily the more popular of NPB's two leagues, totaled 14,720,171, an increase of 102,347 tickets sold. Average attendance 34,313, up 239 per game from last year. Team-by-team figures, Yomiuri Giants, shown at the top, averaged 39,761 per game, an increase of 514 per game from last year. Next one down is the Hanshin Tigers, highest attendance out of all 12 NPB teams, at 41,722 per game. They added 79 per game over last year. Yokohama DNA Baystars, the defending 2024 Japan Series champions, averaged 33,245, up 509 from last year. Hiroshima Carp, 28,356, down 1,020 per game. Tokyo Yakult Swallows, Central League's last place team, averaged 27,944 per game, down 209 from last year. They've been pretty bad for a few years now, and their star player Munetaka Murakami missed over half the season. And the Chunichi Dragons, a team that hasn't reached the postseason in 13 years, averaged 35,012, up 2,061 per game from a year ago. Why such a large increase for a team that wasn't really competitive? Well, they were a lot better this year, 4th place after 3 consecutive last place finishes from 2022 to 2024, and they're just a popular team. Nagoya is a big city with only one NPB team, so they can average over 30,000 a game no matter how bad they get. Pacific League totaled 12,320,115, an increase of 256,224. So while Pacific League may have sold 2.4 million tickets less than Central League did in 2025, the increase in ticket sales was more than double what Central League got. Still way behind, but catching up. Team by team, Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, 38,281, highest in Pacific League, 3rd highest in NPB, behind only Hanshin and Yomiuri. That's an increase of 419 per game. The Hawks were 1st place in 2024, 1st place in 2025, and it can't get much higher than that. 38,000 is near full capacity. Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters, 31,442, up 2,612 per game. Their new stadium's only in its 3rd year. The team just made the postseason for the 2nd straight year, after finishing last a couple years ago. It's a good time to be a Fighters fan. Chiba Lotte Marines, the team that fell into last place this year after making the postseason last year, averaged 26,018, down 957 per game. Losing will do that. Tohoku Rakuten Eagles 23,713, lowest in all of NPB. But that was up 581 from a year ago. A low figure, but at least it's heading in a positive direction. Oryx Buffaloes 28,571, down 1,699. Buffaloes were a Japan Series team in 2023, when Yamamoto was still pitching there. Missed the postseason in 2024, and maybe fans soured on the team for 2025. But they got back to the postseason this year, so maybe it'll go up again next year. Last team there is the Saitama Seibu Lions, 24,395, up 2,794 from a year ago. That is the largest increase in attendance for any team. Last year they had NPB's worst attendance at 21,601. That's because they had an historically bad year in 2024. A little better this year, so some of the fans came back. Then there's the KBO in Korea, where for the second year in a row, the attendance record was absolutely destroyed. To understand it better, let's look at past attendance figures. This was posted by Dan Kurtz over on X a while back. As you can see, in the early 2000s, average attendance was around 5,000, sometimes under, sometimes over. The league's been going since 1982, by the way. 2008 it hit 10,000 for the first time and never fell below that level in any normal year. 2012, 13,451, and that record would hold for more than a decade. That was when they still had just 8 teams. They expanded to 10 right after that. After that record 2012 season, attendance was in the 10 or 11,000s every year. In 2017, they set a record for total attendance with 8.4 million, but the 2012 average attendance record was still there. In 2019, the last pre-pandemic year, it fell to a 12-year low of 10,119 per game. The KBO appeared to be on the decline. But then came the 2024 season. This here is from Yonhap News. 10.8 million in total attendance in 2024, beating the old record by 2.4 million. Average attendance was over 15,000, beating the old record by more than 1,600 fans per game. Absolutely crushed the old records. Helped by the Hanwha Eagles saying farewell to their old stadium. All the most popular teams having winning seasons. Hyunjin Ryu returning to the KBO. Shin Soo-Choo playing his final season. A 20-year-old phenom had an amazing season on his way to winning the MVP. The all-time records for hits and home runs came down. And don't forget that Major League Baseball opened its season in Korea just before the start of the KBO season. It had all the necessary ingredients for a one-year attendance boom. But surely they couldn't sustain that, right? Then came 2025. The old record for total attendance came down on September 5th, with a month left on the schedule. They ended with 12,312,519, beating the old record by over 1.4 million fans. Average attendance was 17,100 per game, surpassing the old record by about 2,000 per game. 331 sellouts. The old record was 221, set a year ago, a 50% increase in sellouts. That was led by the Hanwha Eagles with 62 sellouts in their brand new stadium, Daejeon Hanwha Life Ballpark. Their previous team record was 47 sellouts in 2024, in their farewell season for their old venue. 15 more sellouts in the new venue, which has 5,000 more seats. Samsung Lions set a record for the highest team attendance with over 1.6 million, averaging 22,780, easily surpassing the previous record set by the LG Twins in 2024. Speaking of the Twins, they had the second highest KBO attendance in 2025, with over 1.5 million fans in total attendance, a new team record. In Taiwan, the CPBL also experienced a second straight season of record-breaking attendance. All 6 teams saw an increase of more than 20%. There had never been a team with 5-digit attendance figures until last year, and now there are 3, and the league altogether is averaging over 10,000. Here are the 2024 attendance figures, the record attendance they had to try and beat going into this season. CTBC Brothers were just over 10,000, a near 50% increase from the year before. Weichuan Dragons, 8,000, over a 40% increase. Fubon Guardians, always the worst team, 7,000. Rakuten Monkeys, also 7,000, just barely up from the year before. TSG Hawks, also 7,000 in their inaugural season. Uni Lions, a good team but always last in attendance. They averaged 6,300. League-wide, 7,684 in average attendance, a new league record. That was 2024. 2025, Brothers attendance surged to 13,606 per game. Dragons, 11,618. Guardians, despite another last-place finish, and even worse than usual, broke the 10,000 mark, averaging 10,653 per game. Monkeys, after just barely increasing their attendance the year before, saw more than a 30% increase and almost reached 10,000, 9,968 per game. TSG Hawks, 8,246. Uni Lions, 8,148. The league as a whole, 10,373 per game. First time averaging over 10,000 per game. And they're doing this with 6 teams. 2 years ago it was 5 teams. 5 years ago it was 4 teams. More teams now and more fans per game, playing a 120-game schedule in a country of just 23 million people. Outstanding. So what's driving this attendance surge? Well, 3 different countries, 3 different answers. In Japan, it follows the trend of baseball just widening its lead as the country's #1 sport. Polls show that to be the case. No new stadiums in the last 2 years, no really big young stars. Some of it comes from winning the last WBC with a roster full of mostly NPB players. True, they won it all in 2006 and 2009, but the WBC is a bigger deal now. Some of it is the Ohtani effect. He is the best baseball player in the world. His success in MLB has sparked interest in the sport among people who didn't really pay attention before. They can't just fly out and go see a Dodgers game, but they can go to their local stadiums, and that's what they're doing. In Korea, the 2024 attendance surge was easily explained by so many different factors. Hyunjin Ryu's return, Shin-Soo Chu's farewell, the MLB season opener, the most popular teams at the top, records being broken on the field, Eagles fans bidding farewell to their old stadium, etc. But there was something else going on. Unlike almost every other country in the world, the crowds at KBO stadiums are majority female. They put the number at about 59%. And it's women in their 30s that make up the largest group. One big reason for that, KBO has been linked up with pop culture in Korea. There are TV dramas about baseball, or just involving baseball. Ball players appearing on TV alongside famous celebrities. So while the KBO was already the most popular sports league before, they've now made it cool. Very important in a country where the pop culture is such a big deal, and in a country with such a low birth rate, around 0.7. They can't count on the next generation to take the place of the aging fans. Instead, they've managed to activate the other half of the population. In Taiwan, the opening of Taipei Dome has opened up crowd size possibilities that didn't exist before. 40,000 seating capacity. All other ballparks seat under 20,000. It's not the home for one single team, but every team plays at least a few home games there. In a league where 10,000 attendance or less is the norm, having a few games at Taipei Dome with crowds of 30 to 40,000 gives a big boost to the attendance average. But if you take away all the games played at Taipei Dome, they still would have broken the record, by a little in 2024 and by a lot in 2025. The bigger reason for the increase may be that the league is actually playing catch-up after years of lagging attendance. There was a game-fixing scandal in the late 90s, then another competing professional league in the 2000s. The number of teams was reduced to just 4. But now they're back up to 6 teams. The scandal is ancient history. The CPBL is now seen as a stable, respectable organization. And Team Taiwan's Premier 12 title last fall, with a mostly CPBL roster, caused attendance to further increase. Will this continue into the future for all 3 leagues? Yes, it should. In the near future, anyway. Eventually, the population decline, which is occurring in all 3 countries, will catch up to them. Crowds will start to get smaller, future stadiums will have smaller capacities. That's why expansion is not recommended. That's a long-term investment, and the long term doesn't look so bright. But in the near future, this increased attendance trend should be sustainable. Japan is the only one where I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers started to fall a little. All the teams that reached the postseason this year were at or near full capacity. They can't get many more fans as it is. At some point, all the losing teams would have to start filling every seat in their stadiums. And most of them are already doing that, or close to doing that. Every team is filling the seats at more than 2/3 capacity. No new stadiums are planned to open until sometime in the 2030s, and those stadiums will probably have the same capacity as the ones they'll replace. They're planning for a future where baseball is still big, but the population of the country is much smaller. In Korea, I'd expect the increase to continue, though maybe at a more modest rate in 2026. In 2028, they'll get a boost when the SSG Landers move into a brand new ballpark, the first ever combined baseball stadium and shopping mall. Then maybe around 2032, the new Jamsil Stadium is expected to open, with a capacity of 30,000, much larger than anything in the country now. That'll be the home for not one but two KBO teams, the LG Twins and Doosan Bears. Two teams, or 1/5 of the KBO, will be seeing crowd sizes that just aren't possible right now. Taiwan should see a further attendance increase with the opening of the Uni Lions' new stadium, scheduled to open in time for next season. The Lions presently have the lowest attendance figures, but a new ballpark will be sure to bring out larger crowds, at least for the first year anyway. In a league with only 6 teams, just one of them opening a new park and seeing a surge at the gate can have a huge effect on the league's attendance as a whole. I also like how they've worked Taipei Dome into the schedules. It's too big for one team, but giving every team a chance to play there and stretch out their crowd size is working out well. Hopefully they can slowly increase the number of games played there and watch the figures rise along with it. One idea I don't like that's just been proposed recently at a CPBL GM meeting is increasing the number of games played from 120 to 144. I think they're getting a little too excited with the recent attendance records. In a country of 23 million with 6 teams, 120 games is enough. Let's not get greedy. So the near future is bright, and so is the present. The 3 countries saw bigger crowds than ever before in 2025. Very strong possibility that continues in 2026. Anyway, that's all for this one. Until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya!